core values in the modern West. We try to spread these core values all over the world, and these core values rooted in the West are now universal values, such as liberty, rationality, due process of law, human rights, and the dignity of the individual. These are universal values we all accept. We just take for granted these values will have to be shared throughout the world. And in fact, one of our responsibilities is try to spread our core values so other traditions will be able to benefit from these core values. However, if we look into the future, we have to ask ourselves, are these values sufficient for us to enter into the 21st century? One way of doing this is to characterize the modern Western idea of the person as an economic person or economic man. What is an economic man? It's a person who is critically aware of his and her self-interest. That's the meaning of rationality. A human being is a rational animal. And the person, knowing his or her self-interest, is able to expand his not only self-interest, but his profit in the marketplace, basically adjudicated by law. So the idea is that we pursue a career so we'll be able to serve our self-interest. If the market is relatively free, we should be able to broaden and even maximize our profit, so long as we are not against law, in other words, in the framework of the law. And this is a powerful idea because it embodies some of the great core values that we've been pursuing. Rationality, you have to be a rational human being. Freedom, basically the relatively free market. Dignity of the individual, or human rights, and the importance of law, the importance of the legal framework. What are some of the other values that are extremely important for us to cultivate, to develop in the first century? One of them, from the Confucian point of view, is sympathy. Not only we need to have rationality, to think rationally, or sometimes instrumentally, through our own understanding of the world and ourselves. We need to have a sympathetic understanding of the world, of ourselves, our relationships to others. If we are not sympathetic or empathetic, if we do not cultivate this sense of compassion, and will not be able to serve the society in a way that the society deserves. At the same time, all of us are quite aware that human rights without a sense of responsibility is not going to work well. So we need to have a sense of responsibility in order to enhance our rights. So there's a conflict. And of course, you need to have a negotiation between rights consciousness on the one hand and responsibility or duty. We know the importance of law, but sometimes, especially in our society, we do not underscore enough the importance of civility, or in the classical Confucian idea of ritual, of a civilized way of interacting among human beings and between the human person and society as a whole. We know the importance of the dignity of the person, and sometimes we do not put enough emphasis on social harmony, social stability. And one of the problems we face in the 21st century is that we need to have a very broad humanistic vision. It's not enough simply try to fix the relationship between the person as an individual and society. It is not enough simply to develop a sophisticated understanding of liberty on the one hand and justice or equality on the other, because there are two other very important dimensions in the 21st century we need to be aware of. One is nature, or earth. The other one is what sometimes we call ultimate concern. That's religion. For a long time, there was the assumption that human history progressed from religion to philosophy to science, rationality of science, speculation in metaphysics, or the faith and belief of religion. But the turn of the millennium, the year 2000, some great institutions, even economic institutions, not only universities, but great foreign, like the Forum of World Economic Forum of Davos, begin to take two questions extremely seriously. One is the future of religion in the 21st century. The other one is identity politics. And of course, it's all related to the relationship between human species and nature. So we need to have a vision that's broader than simply fixing the relationship between the person as an individual and society. If you visit William James Hall, there's a motto by William James, who was very much of an individualistic thinker. In that motto, it says, without the impulse of the individual, society stagnates. Without the sympathy of the community, individual impulse fades away. So this interplay between the two becomes important for us to understand the human condition in the 21st century. Another important feature of this particular process is to say the world now has become so much expanded. It is not enough simply to focus on one particular cultural area, such as the modern West. We need to have a much broader vision of the world beyond. East Asia, sometimes characterized as the Confucian cultural area, is particularly significant. Because if you look at Japan, the so-called four mini dragons, South Korea, Taiwan, Hong Kong, and Singapore, and now increasingly the People's Republic of China, you realize these societies are all modern. And yet the cultural forms they developed are not at all, in some sense, the replication of the West. These cultural forms are shaped by different values. And we need to explore these particular kind of values in order to understand how these cultural forms continue to be important in the human community. If you have the syllabus, I want to give you a sense of the question that we're going to explore. Confucian humanism, self-cultivation, and moral community is trying to develop an interplay between the question of the self as a central relationships, and the question of morality in defining the community. We will ask you to not only attend the lectures, to attend the discussion sessions, to write the 3 papers, but also to take the final exam. At the same time, we hope that you'll be able to use the required texts to broaden your scope of understanding what the Confucian human interaction or human ethics really is. And the course is structured